Today, HomeGrounds is going to show you how to brew amazing espresso with the Flair. Hello and welcome. I'm Scott Fisher with HomeGrounds, where our mission is to help you brew better coffee right at home. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment below to let us know what you're interested in. And if you haven't already seen it, be sure to check out our review of the Flair espresso maker. If you want to start brewing with the Flair, you're going to need a few pieces of equipment. First, a scale to weigh your beans and get the right dose. Second, a kettle, because yes, you do have to provide the hot water for this. And third, a small saucepan or a heat-proof bowl, because you're going to be preheating all of the components you use for the brew. The Flair is strictly an espresso machine. There's no steam boiler, there's no steam wand, there's no way of frothing or steaming milk. So if you're planning to use your espresso in a cappuccino or a latte, check out the description where we have a link to our review of our 5 favorite milk frothers. And finally, temperature. We stress getting the brew chamber to the right temperature because it's critical really for any espresso maker, but especially for the Flair. That's because this has no heating mechanism of its own. It doesn't plug in anywhere. It's up to you to make sure that the components are hot enough. Now, why is that important? The ratio of water to coffee in espresso means that the temperature of the coffee can have a huge effect on the temperature of the slurry, the liquid, as it goes through it. It's critical for you to make sure that all of your brewing paraphernalia is up to the right temperature before you start to pull your shot. All right, so step 1 in brewing with the Flair, fill up your brewing chamber all the way up to the top with hot water. A little overflow is no problem. Now we're using 17 grams of coffee, which we've ground and put into the portafilter. You tap it a few times to get it level and then give it a quick tamp just to flatten the lid. This all comes off. The screen goes on, and now things need to go fairly quickly. We have our nicely hot portafilter. This goes on top of this. I then pour just up to the scribe line inside. Then the piston gets inserted. Now it's time to make the pull. So you put your assembled brew chamber and portafilter in here, and then we start going. The very first thing you do is press down just until you get the first little bit of coffee coming out. Ooh, there it is. And now you hold it. This is your pre-infusion stage. You want to let whatever water is in it just pre-infuse for a few more seconds. 10 is good, 15 is better. We're coming up to 1, and now it's time to start the pull. To the pull, you want to press until you are up to the 8 or 9 mark, and you want to continue pressing for a full at least 30 seconds. Now we're getting in close. You can see the layered effect where the little bubbles in the middle are starting to come up. There's a fairly good crema on top here. I think these beans may not be the freshest, but we'll know that after we taste it. And there you have it, the process of pulling a shot in the Flair. Dialing a shot is an important skill when you're learning to brew espresso, because the variables, your grind size, the dose of your coffee, and the time of your pull, can change, sometimes due to things as simple as how fresh your beans are, or if you've gone over to a new roast type. The final piece in the puzzle of dialing a shot is weighing your yield. Now the yield refers to how much espresso you actually have in the cup that you're brewing into. Why do you care about that? This will give you an idea, based on how much water you used and how much coffee you used, of what kind of a strength and extraction you're getting. Once you know this, you can then go back and change any of the other techniques in order to pull exactly the kind of shot that represents the taste you're looking for. So now that you've pulled your shot and measured your yield, it's time to taste it. You want to be noticing two different things. First of all, and maybe most important, is the extraction. Is it a little sour? Is it a little bitter? Is it somewhere in the middle? Second, of course, is the strength. Does it taste like it's already an Americano, or is it so syrupy that it's not going to serve your purposes? So first, let's talk about a sour espresso. If you have a shot of espresso that tastes like lemon juice with a faint coffee flavor, most likely it's been very under-extracted. The possible culprits for this: the time is too short, so you need to go with a longer pull. The grind might be too coarse, so you want to turn a couple of clicks finer. The dose might also be too high, and this means that not all of the coffee is being extracted because there's simply too much to pass through. And then finally, the temperature might be too low. Now, what if you take your first sip of the espresso and it's bitter? You know, it gives you that shudder because it tastes like tonic water or Campari. This is a key indicator of over-extraction. Now, over-extraction means that your time was too long, could mean that your grind was too fine, could mean that your dose was too low, and it could mean that your temperature was too high. What if your espresso is just too weak? You know, you taste it and you think it's already halfway to an Americano. Simplest thing, just try increasing the dose. You can also grind it a little finer, although you have to be careful to balance this against possible over-extraction. And you can also do a longer pull. Longer contact of the water and the coffee will extract more flavor from it. But whatever your flavor analysis tells you, be sure to change only one thing at a time. Otherwise, you'll never know which one of them was responsible for changing the flavor of your brew. And be sure to write it down. This is part of the whole methodical approach. You want to be able to brew a beautiful cup of espresso, not just now, but also tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. The object is consistency. Do you have a Flair? Have you learned some techniques that could help other Flair users brew better coffee at home? If so, let us know in the comments. And until next time, this is Scott Fisher at HomeGrounds asking, how do you take your coffee?